Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2019. Tonight's show, thanks to our producer Mari, who is always a hard worker, for putting together these links on our website. Let's get started with some space weather news. First of all, our solar wind speeds are sitting at a 370.5 kilometers per second with a density of 1.5. Today, again, we do not have any sunspots, and we'll go ahead and take a look at that real quick before I read off the rest of the stats. Another blank sun. This is now 8 days in a row without sunspots. And so far for 2019, 126 days without sunspots. Our current TCI is coming in at 2.85, so that continues to drop as we approach the beginning of solar cycle 25. Let's go back to space weather section here at Grand Solar Minimum. And right now we have a pretty quiet sun. No coronal holes to speak of, no CMEs or any kind of sunspots or even active region. This is what a quiet sun looks like. And you know, I was thinking about this earlier today and how a lot of global warming alarmists out there like to blow the whistle and take credit for the climate and the weather that we're experiencing today. But let's draw this other coincidence here, folks. The weather didn't really start to get really extreme until the last 2 years. And is it a coincidence that our sun has been quiet? And all the things that we talk about on the Grand Solar Minimum channel, with the science of this, quiet sun, low solar winds, means an erratic jet stream. Increased solar winds tighten up the jet stream a little bit. When you're constantly looking at higher speeds of solar wind during solar maximum, you get more of a stable jet stream. But since the last 2 years especially, we've seen a lot less activity on our sun, which has caused some very extreme jet stream patterns. I learned about jet streams, and when things start crossing north to south across the equator, that's concern of shorter growth seasons and really uncertainty to agriculture as we know it. And this particular person, I won't speak who, but he pointed out that these jet stream phenomena were happening. And 2019, it's even worse. But what this person didn't realize, in 2016 was the beginning of the decline of solar activity. And that's when we really have seen the frequency of extreme weather picking up almost on a daily basis. Now, is that a coincidence that the last 2 years we've seen extreme crop loss in areas that don't usually receive crop loss? Snow in the northern hemisphere was off the charts. Ice gain, and I'll talk more about that as well. More flooding, heavier rain, Harvey. I mean, these are the storms that we've never seen before until this particular part of our solar cycle. We've never seen rainfall amounts like this on a consistent basis, especially this year. Last year was just, you know, starting to get a little bit more frequent. This year, every day, we have something to report about major flooding, washing out crop fields. This storm that we got, Barry, heavy rain, flooding was the story on this one. So again, the crop fields that were already underwater, Mississippi, are now reassuring that we're going to continue to be wet and underwater. There's nothing being planted out there, that's for sure. Let's take a look at our future look here at our sun. Again, nothing at all on the eastern limb, nothing on the other side, nothing. It is quiet. No coronal holes even really to talk much about. Some weaker corona on the sun behind the eastern limb. But other than that, guys, it's part of solar minimum. And this is coming into a grand solar minimum, confirmed by Valentina Zarkova, really one of the few people out there right now whose work has been accepted, and what's in the work is confirming grand solar minimum from 2020 through 2055. And again, coincidence that the last 2 years we've seen cooling? Actually, we've seen a sharp decline in cooling in the last 3 years when you look at Roy Spencer's temperature anomalies, the UAH. So a blank sun for the last 3 years, off and on, really more consistent this year for sure. And this year, we've seen an uptick in earthquakes and extreme weather and rain bombs and flooding events and snow and ice. And it's not a coincidence, folks. We are in a time of this cycle where no one can speak of and live to see the next cycle. This is a once in a lifetime beyond thing, and folks, we're alive for it right now. And I think what I'm trying to say is that this is very real. It's being confirmed all over now. So it's not a coincidence. When you hear global warming people saying that we're experiencing all this extreme weather, it's not because it's warmer. It's not because of man climate. It's the last 2 years. Everyone can confirm we've seen some crazy weather the last 2 years. And if you look at the weather and the sun 10, 20, 30 years ago, you'll see that it was a lot more active, even during its minimum, than what it is right now. Take a look at our TSI coming in for July 7th, 2019, 1360.762, so a little bit up, but starting to see a downward trend in the last couple of days from the last readings of June 30th. Again, this data is 8 days behind, so we will report this as we get it as well. Not always is it available. So let's get started here, folks. More than 120 killed. That number's gone up from the last time we did a broadcast. At least 123 people were killed, tens of thousands are displaced, and at least 6 million affected in seasonal floods affecting India and Nepal over the past 10 days. The death toll is rising. Now, we did talk about possible areas seeing at least 2 more feet of rain, and they're still continuing to get the heavy rain. Seasonal monsoon continues after affecting Nepal and neighbor Indian states Assam, Bihar, Tripura, and Mizoram. The monsoon flooding first started in the Assam state in late June. It became worse on July 10th, 2019, when 3 people died and over 200,000 people were affected. According to the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, the situation has become much worse on July 14th. There were 11 deaths and 2.6 million people have now been affected across 28 districts. Rivers were flowing above the danger level in state in 14 locations. This included the Barak River and Chakar, the district there. Red alert was issued by Assam officials on July 15th. 4 million people across 30 of the state's 33 districts affected by floods now. 15 people have died and 80,000 were sheltering in 494 camps. Another 28 have died from flooding in Bihar, and up to 2.5 million people have been affected there. 1,000 families were evacuated from Mizoram after the river there flooded 32 villages. 5 were killed from that. 2 more deaths reported in Tripura, with 18,000 people sheltering in 61 camps. So, once again, heavy rains in this region, like they said, that there was continue, and it's now affecting almost 6 million people in this region. So that's quite a jump from when we reported on this, Sunday afternoon. We'll continue to watch this as Watchers.news is as well. They have given us, this is their second update on that particular article. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Tropical Cyclone Dennis. I guess it means Falcon, affecting the Philippines, heading towards Taiwan, China, and the Korean Peninsula. Strengthening tropical cyclone named Dennis by the JMA and Falcon by the PAGASA in dumping moderate to heavy rains over parts of northern Philippines on July 16th. The cyclone is expected to closely approach or make landfall over Babuyan, Philippines, and then possibly over the eastern coast of Taiwan as it moves towards China and the Korean Peninsula. The system continued to organize while approaching Luzon and strengthened into a tropical storm on July 16th, named it Dinas, I believe, as of 1500 UTC, July 16th, and it's still categorized right now as a tropical depression. 600 UTC on July 16th, tropical storm was about 675 miles south-southwest of Kadena Air Base in Okinawa. Its maximum 10-minute sustained winds were 40 miles per hour, and a 1-minute sustained wind was around 30 miles per hour. With gusts up to 60 miles per hour, the minimum central barometric pressure was at 994. Kind of similar to what we experienced with Barry. That's about as strong as it got. A lot of the maximum sustained wind stayed at 60 or less. This was not much of a storm, by the way. Barry was more of a rainmaker. Not a Harvey, but still adding injury to insult as we already had a lot of the South underwater in the first place. Again, thanks to Watchers.news for the article and the update. All right, guys, sit tight. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.